All right, it's time for the Week 6 recap. I know that this is the thing that the most people watch when it's on YouTube, so if you are watching it there, what you should do is you should like, comment, and subscribe. That'd be pretty cool. But anyway, let's get over to the schedule. Let me go through each and every week, or every game this week, and look at the score, see who won. So the week started off with an absolute blowout. Denver going to Kansas City and losing 3-48. Kansas City Chiefs win that game, obviously. The next was Ravens at Titans. Baltimore fell 35-38 to the Titans, who I believe are still undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. The next game was Washington and Atlanta. Commanders ended up winning that game 28-14. Vikings at Bears followed that. Bears wound up winning that game 20-28 at home. Seahawks at Bengals was the following game, and the Bengals walked away with the victory there, 27-30. 49ers at Browns followed, and the away 49ers wound up pulling away from that game with a final score of 24-13 for San Fran on top. Next game was Saints at Texans. Texans ended up winning that game 21-26 at home. Colts at Jaguars followed that. Colts got the one-score win over the Jaguars 20-15 at Jacksonville. The next one was a surprise shootout. I didn't see this coming at all. Carolina actually ended up beating Miami 55-54. That's the first game this season so far at all where both teams scored 50 points. I didn't expect a single game at all across the season where both teams would score 50 points, but they did. So, yeah, 55-54 away Carolina victory. The next game was Lions at Buccaneers. Detroit wound up winning that game 31-27 again at Tampa. Oh, Patriots at Raiders followed. The Patriots got their first win of the season, 30-27 in Vegas. Eagles at Jets followed that. Philly wound up winning 31-24 at New York. The Cardinals at Rams followed that. Arizona lost that game 21-37. Rams got the home win. Giants at Bills followed that. 27-33 Buffalo victory at home. And then Cowboys at Chargers was the last game of the week. And that wound up as a Dallas victory, 38-14 on the road in Los Angeles. So that's what happened. Those are the scores from this week. Now let's go in and look at the stat leaders after this week of play. Now remember, stats start getting a little funky once bye weeks come in because some players obviously don't have the same amount of games until all the bye weeks have passed. So all of these have a little bit of an asterisk with them, but this one doesn't. The top 5 passing yard leaders, Patrick Mahomes is in first with 2,509. Tua is in second with 2067. Third place, Kirk Cousins with 2039. Fourth place is Joe Burrow with 2024. And fifth place is Drew Lock with 1965. If you were to ask me who I thought the fifth passing leader in the league right now would be, I wouldn't have guessed Drew Lock, that's for sure. Completion leader is Patrick Mahomes with 203. Attempt leader is Derek Carr with 285. Touchdowns. Wait. No, okay, yeah. The touchdown leaders, Tua's in first place in the league right now with 20 touchdowns. 20 touchdown passes through 6 weeks. That's insane. So is 18 by Patrick Mahomes, who's in second. Third is Desmond Ridder with 16. Fourth is a tie between Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott, both with 14. Interceptions, and this is more like the 32nd and down, not really necessarily not necessarily first through fifth, but tied for the most. Baker Mayfield and Trevor Lawrence both have 18. Tied for the third most is not tied for the third most. Third most is Geno Smith with 16. And then tied for fourth is Bryce Young, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, and Jared Goff, all with 14 interceptions already this season. So, turnover heavy are these fellas' hands. Completion percentage leader out of actual starters. First place is Jalen Hurts, tied with Patrick Mahomes at 72% each. Tied for third is Dak Prescott and Justin Fields, both at 71%. And then tied for fifth, Justin Herbert and Kirk Cousins, both have 69% completion percentage. Highest passer rating so far this season, Patrick Mahomes, 111.2. Highest average yards per attempt, Patrick Mahomes with 9. Longest pass so far this season, to bomb by Tua, I believe it was to Jakeem Grant there, an 87-yard throw. I think that happened this week, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it was Jalen Waddle. I don't remember. Either way, though, most sacked quarterback, Kyler Murray. He's been sacked 43 times in 6 weeks. He is going to need new legs after this season's over. Let's look at the rushing numbers. I got to go all the way back to the top. Bell cows so far. Derrick Henry's in first in carries with 164. Next is Brian Robinson Jr. in second with 137. Third place is a tie between DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery, both with 136. And then fifth place is a tie between Damian Pierce and Jonathan Taylor, both with 135. As far as actual yards go, first place is Derrick Henry with 863. Second place, Bijan Robinson with 788. Third place, Brian Robinson with 713. Fourth place, Christian McCaffrey with 589. Fifth place, Damian Pierce with 577. Yards per carry, the best running back that actually has like 20-ish carries, a sizable amount of carries, if we can find one. Devin Singletary, 19 carries, 6.5 yards a carry. So I don't know if that's sustainable, but that's the best in the league right now. Other notable ones are Bijan Robinson, out of guys who have a exorbitant amount of carries, with 6, and Jerick McKinnon with 5.8. Rushing touchdown leaders. Derrick Henry's in first with 9. Tied for second is Bijan Robinson and Brian Robinson, both with 6. And then tied for fourth is Chuba Hubbard, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, and DeAndre Swift, all with 5. Fumbles. Kyler Murray's fumbled 7 times. Lord help this man. He's been sacked a bunch. Joe Burrow has a lot of fumbles, but we're not looking at quarterbacks. We're looking at running backs. Isaiah Pacheco, Kyron Williams, Bijan Robinson. Those are the only running backs that have fumbled more than once. All other running backs have either fumbled 1 or 0 times. Broken tackle leader so far, Derrick Henry with 46. Yards after contact leader, Derrick Henry with 397. Longest run so far this season still belongs to Breece Hall. I think he got that 2 weeks ago or something like that. 75-yard touchdown run, I believe it was. Yeah. Receiving. Reception leaders so far this season. First place, Travis Kelce with 65. Second place, Keenan Allen with 58. Third place, Dalton Schultz with 57. Fourth place, Mark Andrews with 50. And then fifth place is a tie between Cooper Kupp and Amon-Ra St. Brown, both with 49. Yards. First place, Travis Kelce with a whopping 830 through 6 weeks. That's impressive. Jalen Waddle's in second with 680. Jamar Chase in third with 679. Fourth place, Puka Nacua with 657. And then fifth place, Keenan Allen with 655. Highest receiving yards per reception. Allen Lazard's got the top spot out of guys with at least 10 catches, and he has 22.9 yards a catch. It's pretty good. Calvin Ridley's also up there with 21.7. Anthony Miller is 18.5. DJ Chark, 18.5. Chris Olave, 18.3. Trey Palmer, 17.9. A lot of big numbers. DK Metcalf, 17.6. Nico Collins, 17.6. There's a lot of guys up here. Receiving touchdown leaders. George Kittle's in first with 7. Tied for second is Jamar Chase, Drake London, and Devontae Parker, all with 6. And then tied for fifth, Tyreek Hill, Puka Nacua, Calvin Ridley, Mike Gesicki, Garrett Wilson, Tommy Tremble, Travis Kelce, Keenan Allen, Michael Gallup, Nico Collins, and DK Metcalf all have 5. Run after catch leader right now is a tie between Puka Nacua and Travis Kelce, both with 248. Run after catch average leader, somebody with at least 10 receptions, is Saquon Barkley with 9.6 yards a catch. Now, if you're looking at a receiver, it's Calvin Ridley with 8.7. Longest reception, it was Jalen Waddle, not Jakeem Grant. I apologize, I was wrong. My bad. But yeah, 87-yard reception for Jalen Waddle. It's the longest of the season. Worst offensive lineman in the NFL currently goes to Jalen Moore, the backup left tackle who's only been playing for a couple weeks because of Trent Brown being hurt. Has allowed 13 sacks. He is a backup. He does not normally play. He's only played in 3 games. And he's allowed 13 sacks. This man is a menace to his own quarterback. All right, let's see. Defensive leaders. Again, I say this before every single time. These aren't going to be accurate because this board omits a bunch of players for no reason. I don't care that there's like 1,000 players you need to put on it to cover everything. It does not matter to me. They should all be on here. They're not. So, not much I can do about it, but we're going to go over it. At the end of the season, we'll go over every individual team's stats just to get a look at it, get to see how everybody did. So, when we do that, it'll be much, you'll see everything defensively. But for now, we're just going to do this. It's going to be a bit of a pain because you want to actually know the actual leaders for everything consistently, but it is what it is. Solo tackle leader so far this season. Landon Collins with 40. Second place is a tie between Divine Diablo and Robert Spillane, both with 38. Fourth place is Ivan Pace with 35, and then fifth place is a tie between Devin Lloyd, Jermaine Pratt, and Jerome Baker with 33 each. Assisted tackle leader, Demario Davis with 50. Total tackle leaders, Ivan Pace is in first with 83, tied with Landon Collins, who also has 83. Third place goes to Demario Davis with 82. Fourth place goes to Divine Diablo and Foye Luakun in a tie with 76 apiece. Tackle for loss leaders, Quinton Williams is the most with 31. Second place, Micah Parsons with 29. Third place, Aaron Donald with 23. Fourth place is Daniil Hunter with 20. And then fifth place is a tie between Jeffrey Simmons and Vita Vea, both with 19. Sacks, this one's where it gets real insane. Micah Parsons has shattered the season sack record through 6 weeks. He has 26.5 sacks. Nick Bosa has 14.5 and second place. In third place, Aaron Donald with 13.5. Fourth place is Daniil Hunter with 12.5. Fifth place, Myles Garrett with 11. I'm not going to say my thoughts on this. See, because I don't know that I necessarily attribute this to long quarters. Because most of these other numbers don't look that outrageous. But this one in particular, this one and interception numbers, the sack and interception numbers are definitely the two that look the most absolutely bonkers. But I don't know that I attribute that to the longer quarters because sometimes Micah Parsons will just get 4 sacks in a row, and it has nothing to do with how deep into the game they are. Like he'll get it in the first quarter, he'll just start getting sack, 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 sack. Because once that X factor turns on, he is impossible to block, and he plays some pretty bad offensive lines, which he's already benefited from on a couple occasions. So I attribute this to game assuming Micah Parsons is turned on to 100% every single play. Interception leaders, on the other hand, still wild numbers. First place is Marshawn Lattimore with 9, and then tied for second is Jesse Bates, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, J.C. Horn, and Trent McDuffie, all with 5 apiece. The pass deflection leader, Stephon Gilmore with 12. Forced fumbles. Jermaine Johnson has forced 3, and Patrick Surtain has forced 3. They're the leaders. Fumble recoveries. A lot of guys with 1. I'm not naming all of them. Let's see. No blocked kicks still, which is wild. Safeties. T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett both have the only safeties of the season so far. I believe T.J. Watt had his in 2 separate games. Myles Garrett, on the other hand, had his in 2 back-to-back drives in the same game. So that one's impressive. Defensive touchdowns, a lot of guys with 2. DJ Reed, Bobby McCain, Shaquille Griffin, Trayvon Diggs, Trent McDuffie, Jalen Ramsey, and Michael Carter all have 2 defensive touchdowns. So, kicking. So far, there are several kickers still with 100% kicking percentage, field goal percentage. So I'm not going to name all of them. But the worst kicker goes to a tie between Deontay Williams Sr. at 66%, Harrison Butker, Joey Sly. Those 3 guys are all kicking at 66%, which is not great. As far as extra points go, the only guy who hasn't made all of his extra points is Deontay Williams Sr., Granted, he's not naturally a kicker, so I don't blame him for being bad. I'm just upset that he's bad at 71%. Really wish it would say the longest field goal made, but it doesn't. So we're not going to worry about it. Oh, wait, does it? Oh, it does. Never mind. Deontay Williams has his longest field goal at 29. That's the low end. I'm just dumb and can't read. Justin Tucker with the longest field goal so far this season at 62 yards. So that's cool. I love when that thing randomly just decides to turn on. All right, the hold on. All right, that should be done talking now. The tired leg award goes to Riley Dixon, who has the most punts so far with 44. Fewest punts, Nick Folk with 10. He's not even really a punter, but the Cowboys did not. The Cowboys have, I think, 3 or 4 kickers that they brought in, but no punters, which is interesting. Yards punted 4. Riley Dixon has the most. Shocker with 1954. Average yards per punt. The worst is Yusuf Corker. Out of actual punters, the worst is Ty Long with 38.5. Out of the best so far is Corey Bojorquez with 48.5. Now, the net yards, those numbers, the one that actually matters, the worst is still Ty Long with 35, and the best is Brian Anger with 42.1, tied with Cameron Johnson, who also has 42.1. So, nobody's been blocked. The most punts down inside the 20 belongs to Thomas Morstead, so he's doing pretty good. The most touchbacks belongs to Corey Bojorquez, so he's not doing great. Longest punt so far this season still belongs to Corey Bojorquez, however, with a 69-yard kick. Kick return. All that matters are touchdowns, baby. Tariq Cohen still leads the league with 2 kick return touchdowns. Deontay Hardy, Dwayne Eskridge, Charlie Jones, and Marcus Jones are the only other people who have a return touchdown. That's on kick returns. On punt returns, we've still yet to see a touchdown. We have still yet to see a single punt return touchdown. I do think it's hilarious, though, that Stephon Gilmore and Teron Johnson and pretty much anyone that plays the Giants will have several random players get punt returns because of Yusuf Corker. That is funny. Same thing with the Cardinals because of Chris Streveler, because they don't have a punter. So that's the stats. I believe all that is next to do is to advance the week, check the standings, and then move on to the awards, and then we can get going on week 7 pretty quick here. So let's advance. All right. Let's take a quick look at the. Let's look at the awards first. I want to see the awards. So weekly awards for last week. NFC Offensive Player of the Week was Tony Pollard with 24 rushes for 215 yards. And he had 3 rushing touchdowns, 2 catches, 5 yards, and that's it. No receiving touchdowns, but 215 yards on the ground is really, really good. 9 yards of carry is fantastic. NFC Defensive Player of the Week, Jordan Fuller. He had 8 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 1 touchdown. So he had a pick 6. Patrick Mahomes won AFC Offensive Player of the Week. He was 30 of 36, 409 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns. He was sacked once. He had 2 carries for 15 yards and a touchdown. Myles Garrett won AFC Defensive Player of the Week with 10 tackles, 6 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. Now, let's take a look at the standings. Here they are. So, there are still 3 undefeated teams standing. You got the Titans at 6-0, the Commanders at 6-0, and the Cowboys at 6-0. Very, very, very impressive. On the other end, you have 1 winless team left, the Cardinals at 0-6. The worst streak in the NFL, obviously, is the Cardinals at -6, but the second worst is the Browns at -4. The best streaks are obviously the undefeated teams at 6-0, but the next best is a tie between several teams, all with 3. The Chiefs, Bills, and Packers are all on a 3-game winning streak. Now, fewest points for belongs to the Cardinals at 101. Most points for belongs to the Dolphins at 254. Fewest points against belongs to the Commanders and the Buccaneers, tied at 93. That's pretty good. And most points against belongs to the Patriots. What the hell is a defense? They have allowed 219 points. Now, if we take a look at each division, sorted by rank, the Ravens are on top of the AFC North, 4-2. Steelers are trailing behind, along with the Bengals at 2-3 and 2-4, 2-3 and 2-4 respectively, and the Browns are sitting in the basement at 1-4. AFC South, the Titans are on top at 6-0. Right behind them is the Colts at 4-2. The Texans are behind them as well at 3-3, and the Jaguars are sitting in their own basement at 1-5. The Bills are atop the AFC East alongside the Dolphins, both teams being 4-2, while the Jets and Patriots are fighting for last place, both at 1-5. The AFC West is currently ruled by the Chiefs at 5-1. The next best team is the Broncos at 2-3-1, followed by the Raiders at 1-4-1, and the Chargers at 1-4. The Bears are atop the NFC North currently. They are 4-2. The Packers right behind them at 3-2, followed by the Lions at 3-3, and then the Vikings at 1-5. Buccaneers sit atop the NFC South, mostly on a technicality as they're 3-2, while the Falcons are 3-3. But on top is on top. Behind those two teams, the Saints and Panthers are trying to scrape their way out of a hole, both 2-4. Commanders and the Cowboys are both atop the NFC East, both 6-0. It's a tight race for this division. The Eagles honestly might find themselves out of it despite being 4-2 because they're in third place right now, and the Giants are wallowing behind at 2-4. NFC West, Rams on top at 5-1, 49ers right there with them at 4-2, Seahawks falling behind at 2-3, and the Cardinals are the Cardinals. They're 0-6. We're making history, baby. You know what? I don't want the Cardinals to go winless, but hey, eventually someone's got to go 0-17, right? Unless they move to 18 games before somebody gets the chance to. That'd be so depressing. Nobody ever goes 0-17. But anyway, that's going to do it for the recap of Week 6. We're now on to Week 7. It's going to kick off with Jacksonville at New Orleans. I believe there's only one team on a bye. Hold on, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 games. Oh, that means that there are 6 teams on a bye, probably. Huh. Alright, well, either way, that makes it easier for me. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to start getting my dinner together. And then when I'm ready, I'll be back on to start Week 7 tonight. I'm going to get through all the bye week teams, and then we're going to get through at least a couple games. The bye week teams always take a little bit of time, unfortunately, so that's always going to be a little bit of a detriment to everything. But other than that, we are ready to kick it off into gear for Week 7, so stay tuned for that, and I'll be back on a little bit, unless you're watching on YouTube, in which case I'll be back on tomorrow. Bye-bye.